To know if intelligent design is science, we first need to know what intelligent design is. In a previous video, we defined intelligent design as a theory that looks at certain features of biology and claims that these features are best explained by an intelligent designer of the universe compared to undirected natural processes. However, the question of if intelligent design is a scientific theory is a philosophical question, not a scientific one. While some people think that intelligent design is a faith-based theory or a new attempt to smuggle creationism into public schools, intelligent design is actually based on scientific discoveries, standard scientific reasoning, and standard methods of doing science. In fact, intelligent design is based on the same methods of doing science as Darwin's theory of evolution. So if someone considers Darwinian evolution to be a standard scientific theory based on its methods of doing science, then they should also consider intelligent design to be a scientific theory as well. Then they should consider which theory is most reasonably true based on the evidence. It's also interesting to note that people from many different faith backgrounds study intelligent design. Therefore, this theory is not a faith-based theory, even though there may be faith implications of its discoveries. Some scientific findings that intelligent design is based on include the code found in DNA, the fine-tuning of the laws and constants of our universe, and the machines and circuits found in cells. Some will argue that science should not invoke unobservable entities to explain scientific evidence, and since intelligent design invokes an unobservable entity, it is not a scientific theory. This person is presupposing before even looking at the evidence that an intelligent designer does not exist, or that if an intelligent designer did exist, we would not be able to see evidence of that in our world. This is a philosophical bias against the idea of an intelligent designer separate from the evidence being presented. So it seems like when drawing philosophical conclusions from scientific evidence, we should be open to what is most reasonably being supported by the evidence without a bias for or against the supernatural. The key here is to go with the explanation that accounts for the most amount of evidence with as little philosophical bias as possible. It's important to note that Darwin also invoked unobservable entities when presenting his theory of evolution by natural selection, since at the time there was a great number of missing transitional fossils in the fossil record between species. He even admitted that this was the biggest objection that could be raised against his theory and assumed that more fossils would be found later on. However, over 100 years later, we still do not see the number of transitional fossils that we would expect to see if evolution were true. So given that both intelligent design and Darwinian natural selection invoke unobservable entities, we should be open to whatever explanation is most reasonably supported by the evidence from philosophy, history, and science. Another objection to the claim that intelligent design is a scientific theory is the idea that intelligent design is not falsifiable, which means that it can't be proven to be false based on the evidence, and this is essential to a hypothesis being considered to be a scientific theory. The idea here is that if one example of intelligent design was proven to be able to be explained by Darwinian natural selection, intelligent design proponents would just point towards other examples of intelligent design, and therefore the theory isn't falsifiable. However, only one true example of intelligent design would be needed for the theory of intelligent design to be proven to be true and Darwinian natural selection to be proven to be false. Even Charles Darwin himself knew that irreducible complexity in intelligent design would threaten his theory of evolution and wrote, "If it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight changes, my theory would absolutely break down." A great example of a system that is intelligently designed and therefore breaks down Darwin's theory of evolution is the bacterial flagellum. The bacterial flagellum is an irreducibly complex, intelligently designed system because its parts appear in a way where they function as a whole with all the parts of the system, but the specific parts themselves do not have any function apart from the system as a whole. This means that there's no Darwinian way to explain how these pieces survive through the process of natural selection until they get assembled into a system that as a whole is fully functional. Intelligent design proponent Michael Behe explained the implications of this discovery by saying, "Design is positively apprehended in the purposeful arrangement of parts. Looked at this way, irreducible complex systems such as flagella serve both as negative arguments against gradualistic explanations like Darwin's and as positive arguments for design. The negative argument is that such interactive systems resist explanation by the tiny steps that Darwinian path would be expected to take. The positive argument is that their parts appear arranged to serve a purpose, which is exactly how we detect design. Meanwhile, naturalists must show how any system that has the appearance of being irreducibly complex can be explained entirely by blind, random processes. Just like evolution, intelligent design uses cause and effect to draw conclusions about what most reasonably caused irreducibly complex systems, such as the bacterial flagellum. While some people argue that intelligent design is really just religion disguising itself as science, or a God of the Gaps argument, intelligent design actually uses evidence from scientific discoveries and argues that the most reasonable explanation of this evidence is an intelligent designer based on the irreducible complexity and information that we find in nature. From the evidence that we have looked at today, we have shown how intelligent design is a valid scientific theory that shows that it's reasonable to believe that there was an intelligent designer of our universe. Please like and subscribe for more videos that share God's love through apologetics, and remember, Jesus loves you.